Hey everyone, Jim T. Graham with rcgroups.com, and today we have our hands on the X-vert. We were very excited to get these in. Horizon took care of us and sent us a couple. Jason Cole and I took them to the field. Jason had never flown one before, and we actually get some input from him on what he thought after taking the sticks. We also happen to have the guitar tech for the band Lone Star at the field, and I could tell he wanted to fly it. He's always on the road. He's always looking for something he can put in his bag and fly around hotels across the country, maybe just in the bus. So you actually get to see him fly my X-vert. First time he ever had his hands on one. We get his opinion. We see how it flies for him as a newbie. And then we go over just about everything you could ever wonder about the X-vert. So let's jump on into Jason Cole, and then let's watch this thing fly. Hey everyone, Jim T. Graham and Jason Cole with RC Groups, and we're at the awesome Edwin Warner Field, very historic, one of the oldest RC fields in the country.
That's right.
And we have both been flying here for over a decade, and today we brought out the X-vert. Miss Kim and Horizon Hobby sent a pair of these so we could go out and have some fun together. I have flown this once before at the release at the Horizon Airfield, and Jason's never flown one before. And so first, let's talk about, and Jason, feel free to jump in at any moment. Here's how you build it. You open the box. Everything's already installed, the servos, covers, all that. You pick your favorite scheme. I picked my favorite. Jason was nice and knew that I wanted the red and black, and he went green. And then you take 2 screws per prop guard and a tiny screwdriver, which you need to provide yourself. Screw this on, and then these literally clip on and clip off. You can depress and pull it off. And the reason you might want to pull it off, the only reason I can think, is in case you wanted to travel with it. I'll leave mine off for now.
It'll stick right back in the box, so you can pull the prop guards off, pull the winglets off, and pack it back up in the box and keep it nice and safe. It is rather small though. It fits in the front seat of my car.
Right.
Like a passenger. I can just plop it right in there and take it to the field.
And it's super tough, so I don't see a reason why you would need to take it apart or take anything off.
Yeah, it's EPO foam. Or is it Z foam?
We'll look that up.
I think it's Z foam.
In fact, I'll put it in this video right here. And then to talk about how small it is, in this video, you're going to see the guitar player for Lone Star, the country music band Lone Star, who was here at the field. And I said, does anyone want to fly this? And he said, I'm always on the road, I'm always in hotel rooms, and he said, I want to see if I like this or not. So I actually have video, and he flew it, and we did the multi-rotor and the wing and the transition and all that stuff. And so now he's literally got back in his truck, and he's headed off to do a gig somewhere, and he's putting one of these on order.
Nice.
Awesome. What's your name again?
My name's Rich Leverone.
Hey everyone, Jim T. Graham, and we're at the field with Rich, and Rich was watching us fly the X-vert, said he wanted to buy one. So I said, man, why don't you try one before you buy one? So he's never flown it before.
Like that idea. We're
We're in the MR mode, multi-rotor mode, and he's gonna hit the throttle and see if he can make it dance. Let's see what we got. All right.
Just gotta get a little feel for it.
Yeah, rudder right and left, which is a great air. If you have a lot of wind, you can wing it into the wind and fly back home. And then the elevator stick is forward and back.
Yeah, that's pretty simple.
Yep. And also it's AS3X, so you can't get in too much trouble. Those prop guards save you in the event of a meeting with the earth. And now if I were you, I might flick that switch 1 click up and it'll transition.
Very cool.
And now it flies like a wing, so you have to switch your mind into the wing mode. And now it's just like flying your RC airplane.
Oh, it's still like in a safe mode. I can tell.
Yeah, so you're in the safe mode.
One more switch.
So now we're going into 3rd gear.
There we go.
It'll do pretty good rolls, right?
Oh yeah, man.
And the real trick is to just maintain what the top and bottom is, but I have yet to have a problem with that. Once again, this is Rich's first time at the sticks on the X-vert. And this is my brand new X-vert, so I'm telling you how much trust I have in it by handing it over.
Okay, now I just switched it back into.
All right, so you could literally throttle straight down to the ground if you wanted to. Also, I found that the battery goes out, it'll come on down. So Rich, while you're doing that, give us, you don't have to look at me or anything, just give us your thoughts on how you think it flies.
I'm surprised at how easy it is to fly. Definitely the transition is really good. Right now it's in kind of a safe mode, so I think no one would really have a problem with this. And then when you flip it to the like normal or expert mode, whatever, it flies just like a wing.
So in the safe mode, I'm going to cut down to your transmitter. Okay, now we're in the MR mode. It's this way in the MR mode too. You could literally bang the sticks like youth of today do in video games.
Yeah.
And it's not going to like totally go out of control. It'll keep itself in a gentle turn.
Wow. So the wind is really.
So the wind will get it when it's turned that way. If you have wind trouble, just crank it knife edge. And I have had it in really strong wind and successfully brought it home.
Yeah, I want to see if I can get it back.
We'll bring it back and get final thoughts. We'll see if we've sold this unit.
Come on back. There it is.
Not this particular unit. How do you like that trim scheme? Red, black, and white are my colors.
It's nice. And as I understand it, they give you plenty of options.
Yeah, there's like 6 or 8 sheets in there, and this is the Eddie Van Halen option. And then just throttle it down, and then flip that. Okay, let's see if we haven't had any crashing trouble here. If you would, pick that up and let's take a look. Now the props automatically stop spinning. No breakage.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Everything's tough. It'll take a hit. That's a big question everyone asks.
So now, why did it do that?
I don't know. I generally, when I come down, I just chop the throttle and she'll stay sitting on her tail like that.
Okay, that's what I thought I did.
So what do you think, man? Are you gonna get one?
Yeah, I'm gonna get one.
It was pretty easy, right? And 3D mode kind of, if you didn't have that 3D mode, you might feel limited, but you do.
Yeah, you gotta have the 3D mode if you want to fly it.
Right.
Otherwise, it's like flying in safe mode, which is cool if you don't know how to fly.
If you're a beginner, right.
But yeah, for a wing, it flies great. And to have the opportunity to do the vertical takeoff and hover is really cool. I want to get one because I'm on the road all the time.
Yeah, man, it'll fit in a briefcase.
I would have opportunity to fly it in a hotel room if I wanted.
Sure, or the back of the hotel.
Yeah, I do that all the time. So.
All right, Rich is actually leaving to go on the road right now, man. Have a safe trip.
Thanks for letting me fly it, man.
Yes, sir. I guess let's talk about what it does do. It has a function as a multi-rotor, so in the A section, if you're in the mode 1, it will fly up. It'll go back and forward and fly this way and rotate.
And I gotta say,
we didn't do that yet. We got
most multi-rotor copters have 4 motors and props or more, right, to maintain stable. This only has 2.
That is interesting. Isn't
and so I was like, I've seen bicopters before, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I was curious about how well this one was going to work. So the first thing I did when I got it was put it together, go down to my living room, turn the fan off. And put it up in multi-rotor mode and took off, and oh my gosh, it was so stable and so easy to fly. And I'm pirouetting around the living room and flying sideways, doing knife edge like circuits in multi-rotor mode, completely under control. I was really impressed with how well this thing flies in the hover mode.
So let's talk about that. This is a Horizon product, and as you may or may not know, but we know, is that when you bind it, you generally can fly it right out of the box.
Yeah.
And I asked David Payne, the designer, every time I do that, it seems like it's already trimmed. This goes for airplanes and everything else. And he said, we do it that way on purpose. We try to make it so when you bind, everything's ready to go.
Yeah.
And there was zero trimming going on here.
No, zero trimming, and it just performed exactly as it was supposed to. Exactly how you would want it to fly. You can say, I want this to fly really well, this is what the X-vert does.
So in the MR mode, everything's moderately tame, which I've flown this. The first time I flew it was in the offices at Horizon next to an IT guy who was not happy that I was flying next to him at all. It would be like if Brad was there, And so I was like, is this okay? And David Payne's like, no problem, but keep going. So it's tame enough for indoors. We went outside, And then I'm going to get Jason to talk about flipping the switch to transition to VTOL, because you've flown a lot of VTOLs, and that transition can crash you if the VTOL software isn't right.
Yeah, a lot of times they either take a much longer time to transition than you'd expect it to. They get all wobbly and wonky and out of whack, and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna crash. But with this, no, there's literally stress-free transition. Flip the button. If you're in hover mode and you flip the button, it goes, and
you can take your hands off the sticks.
Yeah.
Flip it and it'll fly away.
And it'll fly away. And then the same thing coming back. I was curious. I was like, I wonder, can I come in fairly low and worry about it? Is it gonna like and crash? So I did it up high at first, and it just comes in, it climbs up a good little bit, and then kind of plops into hover, and it's just so simple and easy. It works really well.
And correct me if you found it differently, but when you're in wing mode and then you transition back to MR, it does seem to there's something in there that makes it stabilize out of the flight.
Yeah.
It doesn't just go pop. It flies a little bit into it,
and it climbs. So you can come in at knee-high level, flop the switch, and it's going to climb up over your head and hover right there in front of you.
One
really cool.
Other thing I found is we're using multiple batteries and some not provided to get the video, and I ran a pack out. So the question is, what happens then? And it just slowly MR'd to the ground and landed. And the flip side, when I let the Lone Star guy fly it, he crashed it, he landed it, and it nosed in. We nosed it in again pretty hard, and these prop guards definitely will take a hit.
Yeah.
I thought maybe, I nosed it in the grass, thought maybe we'd grab a prop, but nothing happened then either.
So let's talk about flying this as an airplane. Once you've transitioned, and you got to turn your brain into airplane mode. I'm flying an airplane now.
I was telling Jason, I was in the goggles, maybe that's what got me. Because I was in the goggles, not today, this was at Horizon. And they do make a FPV version of this. It's not available yet, but the camera.
I really want to try the FPV.
The camera looks at you or looks that way while it's in MR mode, and when you flip the switch, it goes so that you can fly it like a wing.
Yeah.
And I was doing that, and when I hovered up, and then when I went wing, my brain stayed in a multi-rotor state, and I was like, not doing it right.
Yeah.
So be sure to mentally.
And what we mean by that, if you haven't seen this or tried this before, when you're in multi-rotor mode, the yaw left and right rotates, this way. It does basically an aileron roll if you're in airplane mode, right? And that's the yaw stick. And then if you use the aileron stick in multi-rotor mode, it does this motion, which would be a yaw in airplane mode. So when you transition, those are now reversed. So the yaw on the left stick does differential thrust, very cool by the way, for yaw. And then the ailerons will obviously roll it just like you're flying a normal flying wing. And so there's two modes in airplane mode. There's a stabilized, kind of safe mode.
So that means if you push this, like I see kids do this all the time, jam a stick all the way to the corner. If you jam a stick, this is only going to bank to a certain degree.
You can't over control it, which is a common problem. So yeah, it's got pitch and bank angle limitations where it won't allow you to fly so far where you just nose it into the ground.
So if you're a beginner, you could multi-rotor it in a beginner mode and then fly it in a beginner mode.
Yeah. But now I will say, if you're going to be in that beginner stabilized airplane mode, make sure you've got a nice wide open field like we're in right here. You don't want to be in a small, compact, tree-lined place or a gym, because of that limit, it turns very wide and very slow. So it's just a gentle, easy mode to get used to it. But you want to make sure you have enough space to be comfortable flying.
But like I was telling the Lone Star guy, Rich, it's got a third gear. It has a third gear.
Oh yeah, third gear's my favorite.
And without it, I think it would be half as much fun.
Oh yeah. So in the manual mode, it's basically it's AS3X stabilizing, but there's no control banking limits. It's fully aerobatic, and oh my gosh, the roll rate on this thing is unbelievable. It's like a top.
The real trick I thought would be to not come in inverted and then have to, but every time I roll it, even today and the last time I flew it, I always come up the right side up.
Nice. And so fully aerobatic, and what really makes this thing fun for me is the differential thrust in the yaw. So I can you can go up vertical. It's obviously got a greater than 1-to-1 thrust to weight ratio because it'll hover and climb, right? So you can go straight up vertical and just nail the rudder left or right, and it'll do this wicked double knife edge spin. You can come out and roll out of it, and you can do really cool double snap rolls with this thing, and it just looks awesome. That differential thrust for the yaw is really effective even in level flight. It's so much fun. You can just horse around, have a good time with it, that's what it's made for. In manual mode, you just have a blast.
The other question I had is, for some reason I didn't feel like this would loop very well. I don't know. And so I did it, and it loops like a flight simulator almost. Wow.
Yeah.
And so you were following me with the quad, and then I disappeared because
Where'd he go?
I went, wow. So I think you hit on what I think. If you're looking for something that's small and super fun, that you could have a lot of control of, let's say you had to get out of a parking lot somewhere and then get up in the sky and fly around, this is it.
Yeah.
The other thing is, it's not available yet, but it's coming, is the FPV piece for the camera.
Gosh, I can't wait to try that out. I know you've got to do it, but man, I think that's gonna be so much fun, FPV in this guy.
And then another way would be to get a micro cam and put it on the nose, and you could multi-rotor up, pull your goggles down, hit the transition button, and then start
Yeah, I was
flying.
thinking about that. Even if all you're seeing is straight up in multi-rotor mode, it's so stable, like you don't have to worry about
You can just put it right here.
falling over. You don't have to really fly it. You can
Pull the
just take
goggles.
off and hit the switch, and then you're flying airplane mode.
And then you could fly it right back in front of you. Now landing, I don't know, we'd have to actually feel that one out.
Well, so one thing, I'll have to check it again, but when I was coming down on the second flight, I was in multi-rotor mode, and I put the throttle all the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
And it just did a nice controlled, slow
like an
descent. It
auto
didn't
land.
just like fall out of the sky.
Okay.
So I was like, you could just do that looking straight up and then just lower the throttle and just till it hits the ground.
It's the magic of AS3X.
Yeah.
Really, for FPV, and I've said this a lot, and I said this to Horizon when I was in a big meeting there, AS3X stabilizes things and makes things smoother and keeps you from getting into trouble a lot. And if you're in the goggles, those are all the things you
Yeah.
need.
So I gotta say, I really was pretty skeptical when I saw the announcement, right? There was this big launch event. You got to go up there for that. I was like, what is this gonna be? I can't wait. I was so excited. And then I saw this tiny little X-vert, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool.
Okay, stop there. So I'm there, I see it, I fly it, we're in like crazy wind, like crazy wind. Like I wouldn't fly a real airplane that was big, much less a little airplane. We get out there and we're flying the teeth off this thing, and then I come back on the internet and everyone's like, what is this? So now tell them what you think after you flew it.
I had the skepticism, but once you get it in your hands and fly it, that completely does a 180. This thing is awesome. It is really fun.
It's new technology.
Extremely well designed and well implemented. It's durable. You can do so many different things with it. So for me, 2 thumbs up, guys, at Horizon. Great design. I can see now why the launch event was what it was. And you guys, you got to get your hands on one of these and try it for yourself, because that's going to change your mind if you're skeptical like I was.
And a VTOL is not a new concept, but I think this is a totally new take on the VTOL. And everything that is under the hood on this module right here,
Yep.
while the module's made by a company out there in the world, all the brains and thoughts and things that it does is straight out of David Payne, flying and flying and flying and saying, change this, change that, I want it this way. And so this is David Payne right here in your plane. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's happening,
This
David?
totally sets the bar very high for all future VTOL planes that come out. This is the benchmark that you have to meet or beat in the future.
And one
'cause
question,
it's awesome.
one question you're going to ask is, I want a bigger one, and that's what I said. I said, when do I get a 40 size, right? And so the reason it is this size is because it's light enough to crash and not break.
Yeah, there's almost no like mass and inertia when you crash on this thing, so I can see why it's so durable. You know, I would imagine you'd break some of these prop guards. I've heard some props have broken slamming in the walls or something, but
And some people don't put the guards on,
yeah, you don't have to put the guards on.
but I would.
I like them. I think it looks cool that way.
I love it. And whoever did these graphics, I would like to say thank you, because all the graphics were pretty cool, all the way to the military stuff, which I didn't use,
yeah.
but I always appreciate.
And it's so nice too, because these are the same airplane, but they look completely different.
And like
So-
this is just stripes that they had, and I used random stripes and cut them to this is very International Harvester.
Yeah, I mix and match. I liked the green that they had on the front, but I didn't like the singular stripe, so I used the orange on the bottom. So now I got good color contrast for visual line of sight, and it looks cool. So I'm happy with that.
Well, I believe that Jason and I both really like our X-verts. I think it'd be something you'd take anywhere you went.
Yeah, it's so small. I mean, I'm definitely, my next event is the Bruce, the DLG contest, and this is totally going with me
Nice, nice.
for after hours and just horsing around. I'm sure there's going to be more up there as
Maybe
well.
some lights.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Jim T. Graham, Jason Cole, RC Groups, the X-vert. We approve. X-vert.